Everyone, thank you again for joining me on this amazing program and amazing show, The Wholeness Project, that is focused on bringing restored wholeness and renewed, focus to your family, your relationship, your mental health, and your spirituality. I want to thank you all again for joining us. And if you are online, please, you can invite your friends, your family on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram on my page, Joel Osebo, to be part of this life changing and life transforming program. Today, this week, I'm going to be sharing with us an amazing subject that I believe is going to be of great value to everyone. Today on the show, the Wholeness Project, I'm going to be focusing on what I call taming the fire. And this has to do with your anger, my anger. How do we manage our anger? And rightly also, I mean, one of the biggest challenges in not just in the developed world, but all over the world is what we call road rage. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit how we can manage our anger and our emotions, in our relationship. But the goal today, again, is to look at how anger affects our family, our relationships, our mental health, and our spirituality. And quickly, first, I just want to always make you know about me. I have a master's in clinical mental health counseling. I'm a certified mental health coach, a certified marriage counselor, even a couples repair specialist. That means I help a lot of couples going through broken relationship or want to enhance their relationship. And also I host the Wholeness Project, which is held every Monday, 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. And my mission is to empower individuals and towards wholeness in their family, in their relationships, mental health, and spiritualities. And if you want to get more information about me, you can go to our website, joelosebo.com and fgicoaching.com. Today's episode, I promise, it's going to be great and it's going to be very exciting for us. And the remit I'm going to look at for today's journey is to look at, the reality of anger. We're going to be looking at the data. We'll try to understand what anger is, the different types of anger, the root of anger, then the four pillars impact, how anger affects your family, your relationship, your mental health, and your spirituality. Then also some practical to something about the Wholeness Project is the goal to provide strategies, interventions, and techniques that will help you begin to deal with the issues that we talk about every Monday. Then also there's a part for the faith-based integration for as many people who are open to spirituality and faith-based, how you can integrate faith-based in the process of managing your anger. Then also I'm going to be sharing with you your 7-day anger transformation challenge, just an action plan that is going to help you for the next 7 days. But quickly, anger by the numbers. Like I said, I like giving us data so we can know how important issues like these that affect our family, relationship, mental health, and spirituality needs to be taken, not to be taken for granted. 85% of people feel angry at least once a month. Everybody feels that anger. So almost all humanity, we feel angry. Then 23% of global adults felt a lot of anger yesterday. This is a survey by Gallup 2024. So which means like yesterday, at least close to 25% of people, they were really angry. Then 7 to 11% of adults have clinically significant anger problems. And that's why the mental health space is a great place that will help people manage that. When we talk about clinically significant anger, we're talking about the anger that you don't have control over. It's so easy for you to snap and you don't know what happens until things break. But with therapy, with counseling, with coaching, people are able to overcome those distress in their life. 50% of those with anger issues ever seek professional help. Not a lot of people want to see therapists. Not a lot of people want to see counselors. Not a lot of people want to tap into their spirituality, to deal with the issue of anger. Then 70% of anger responses stem from hurt, frustration, or fear. You and I can tell that anytime you're angry, something is going on. There's an illustration I always use. They call it the iceberg. The top, when you see the iceberg, what is beneath it is bigger, but what we see is just that tip. So what happens to us when we are angry? There's a lot of things that is going on within us. So the anger is just an expression of what we are dealing with inside of us. So anger is, it's stemmed from hurt, frustration, or fear. Then lastly, 9 in 10 workers of experience have experienced workplace rage. Quite a lot of people in the workplace, they experience rage. And not to talk about on our roads, the level at which people are so angry at traffic lights. You want to overtake someone, it is very, very alarming. And I believe this today's discussion on taming the fire will help every one of us at some point be able to deal with anger related issues in our lives that can affect our families, affect our relationships, our mental health, and also our spirituality. So what is anger? Anger is a normal, healthy human emotion. So for you to be angry is a normal thing. Is a physiological and psychological response to perceived threat. So anytime people express anger, there's a form of threat, there's a form of injustice, there's a form of frustration, or there's a form of hurt. So anytime you are angry, some things are going on within you. So that they are threatening your existence. You feel a form of injustice, you're feeling frustrated, or you're feeling hurt. It becomes destructive when expressed harmfully or suppressed chronically. What that means is a lot of the time when people are really angry, they begin to hurt other people or they hurt themselves. Or they suppress it, they don't talk about it, they become so bitter in their heart, so unforgiving, so resentful that it begins to cause them to be sick. So it becomes very chronic and it leads to a lot of disease. That's why it's important we learn how to manage and overcome anger in our spaces. And there are 3 areas, things I want to look at as we discuss, what anger is. The brain and the body. Anytime you're angry, some things are going on in your body physiologically or scientifically. There's what we call the amygdala fire. I mean, these are part of the things that they are part of your brain system. It fires the alarm. So anytime they find that trigger of fight or flight or freeze, something is going on in your brain. Then there's what we call the prefrontal cortex. This area of your brain helps with your reasoning. It goes offline. Anytime you're angry, you find out that you shut down everything. You're not reasoning anymore. You're just angry. You're just pissed off. What you just want to do is to hurt or to suppress what you are dealing with. So your prefrontal cortex, your reasoning ability shuts down immediately. Then your cortisol and adrenaline flood the bloodstream. So your cortisol and adrenaline flood the bloodstream. So when these chemicals in your body, when they flood your bloodstream, you begin to palpitate. Sometimes people go into panic. You go into the panic mode. Then your heart rate and blood pressure spike within seconds. You'll find out the way you begin to breathe, your breathing level changes. Then your muscle tenses. You begin to feel. That's why you see people when they're angry, they clench their fists or they grind their teeth. They really want to retaliate. Then your vision narrows. So you become tunnel focused, not for good things, but to retaliate whatever you're dealing with. And this is important. That's why it's important. We must learn to manage our system, manage our body, especially our brains and our minds when we are angry. If we can subject them we can bring them under control, we can end up hurting ourselves or hurting other people. So what are the types of anger that we have? We have one, passive anger. This kind of anger is silent treatment, sarcasm, or avoidance. When you're angry and you don't want to say anything, you just don't want to talk to the individual, you begin to pass some unpleasant statement or you avoid. We call that passive anger. Then aggressive anger, when you're really angry, that's when somebody's yelling, you begin to intimidate the other person, or you get physical. That becomes an aggressive anger. Then when anger becomes chronic, this time you are persistent and there's persistent resentment and bitterness. So you don't want to talk, you're keeping malice, anything about that individual or that situation gets you so bitter. Then there's what we call displaced anger. You take it out on the wrong person. I'm sure a lot of us would have found ourselves in that space. You are angry, but you displace it. We call it displacement in counseling. You just, instead of addressing what is causing you to be angry, you either pass it on to the dog, you pass it on to your spouse, you pass it also to someone else. Then there's what we call constructive anger. And that's where I really want every one of us to be. I feel angry a lot of the time. I feel pissed a lot of the time. But I've learned to turn my anger to be very constructive. I like to keep my reasoning. I want to make sure I'm not letting it take over my whole emotions. But a lot of us, we don't know how to manage that. So our goal is to be able to get you to a place where your anger can be constructive. Is a normal emotions. For you to be angry, it is normal. It is not you being abnormal. But when you're not able to manage it, you're not able to control your emotions, then it becomes very passive, aggressive, chronic, or displaced. So our goal is to channel, to drive our anger in a very positive way. Now, quickly, let's look at how does it show up? How does anger show up in our lives? Number one, through verbal outburst, argument, and harsh word. Anytime you begin to, the outburst of your words are so high and so full of unfriendly, unpleasant words, then you know you are angry. Then there's physical tension. You clench your jaw, you tight your chest and your fist. These are manifestation of you being angry. Then emotional withdrawal and stonewalling. In other words, you don't want to talk to the person. You want to snub. You don't want that person in your space. It shows you are angry. Then passive aggressive behaviors. In other words, eye rolls, sarcasm. Those things begin to show up as an outward expression of it. Then rumination, you begin to replay the offense repeatedly. Every time you replay the offense someone has done to you over and over again, and you're not able to let it go, you are angry. And that's how anger shows up. And if you're not able to manage it, if you're not able to tame the fire, because anger is like a fire, when you don't quench it quickly, friends, it can become something that can be very harmful to you and to other people. So the next thing I want us to look at, what are the root causes of anger? What leads to anger? I have about 6 things that I want to quickly talk about here. The first one is unmet needs. When our needs are not met, then we begin to feel angry. So feeling unseen or heard or disrespected can cause you to be angry. The need for love, safety, or belonging, when it's not there, then people will be angry. When boundaries are consistently violated or ignored, it causes people to be angry. Then another area that leads to anger is past trauma. But past trauma, we're talking about childhood wounds and attachment injuries. When you remember what has happened to you in the past, or how you're supposed to be connected to someone and the individual disappointed you, it will always lead to anger. Unresolved grief, abuse, or neglect history causes people to be very angry a lot of the time. When they remember it or when they see it in someone else, they get really angry. Generational pattern of rage and dysregulation. A lot of the time, anger, the anger can be a family history. You find out the grandfather was really angry, the father, the son, everybody in that family, So anger can be a generational issue. Then also dysregulation. The inability to control our emotions can cause us to be very angry. Then stress and environment can also be root causes. Financial pressure and job insecurity, no doubt. When you don't have when you don't know what to do, you're looking for resources, finances to pay your bills, to take care of an urgent need, it leads to anger. Then systemic injustice and discrimination. Globally, we see that on the political scale, social scale, spiritual scale, all of this thing leads to anger. Then toxic relationships or unsafe environment, they can lead a lot of the time to anger. Then biological factors are other things that leads to anger. Low serotonin levels and neurological factors, sleep deprivation and poor nutrition, certain medication or medical conditions. All of these things biologically can cause people to be angry. So sometimes people, the way the chemicals that are kind of working in their brain, in their mind, can cause them to be angry. There's what we call the cognitive distortion. This has to do with your thinking, your thought process, how you're thinking sometimes can cause you to be angry. So there are some things that might be real that you think are real, you'll be angry. Some things that are not real that you think are real can also cause you to be angry. That's what we call the all or nothing thinking pattern. When you think that, oh, if it's not this, then it's not it at all. That can cause you to be angry. Personalization, taking everything personally. When people say things or when some things happen, you, instead of allowing this situation to define what it is, you begin to take the blame on yourself. That can cause you to be angry. Then mind reading, catastrophizing, filtering, all of these things, you're trying to read the minds of people. You don't know what's going on in their mind. You're just assuming this could be what they're thinking about. And if you're not so certain about it, you can be angry about that. And for spiritual integration, there's a parable called loss of meaning, purpose, or identity. When you don't know your purpose. You don't understand the meaning behind the things going on in your life. When you're having an identity crisis, people can be angry about that. Feeling abandoned or let down by God. A lot of the time when we can hear God, we can feel his presence. We don't know what God is doing, or we are praying, we're not getting answers to our prayer. You find that a lot of people are going to be very, very angry and very, very bitter. Then carrying deep unforgiveness and bitterness. When we carry a lot of deep unforgiveness and bitterness in our heart, it can lead to a lot of anger. So these 6 things leads to anger. They are root causes: unmet needs, past trauma, stress and environment, biological factors, cognitive distortions, and spiritual disconnection can cause a lot of anger in our life. And let's look at how anger can truly affect this pillar of wholeness in our lives: family, relationship, mental health, spirituality. Now, looking at your family, how does anger affect your family? It creates cycles of fear and hypervigilance in children. When there's a lot of anger in your family, when there's a lot of anger in the home, the kids become so scared. There's a lot of fear. So this fear affects families if it's not controlled. It erodes trust between parents, children, and siblings. When we don't manage our angers properly, I tell you, it's going to cause a lot of problem. It breaks down trust in our family, honestly. Then also another area that anger affects our families: children model and inherit parental anger patterns. So when parents, as parents, we are always angry, we are always bitter, gradually we are transferring that trait and character into our children. That's why we got to manage our anger and control it. It increases risk of domestic conflict and instability. When there is anger at home between dad and mom, the siblings, the adult, then you're going to see a lot of domestic conflict and instability. Then anger in the home equals emotional wounds that last for decades. You don't want that to happen to your family. I don't want that to happen in my family. That's why we must learn to manage our anger. If we don't, we're going to hurt our children. We're going to hurt our families. A lot of families today are hurting because they are not able to manage their anger. They are not able to control their emotions. Another in for relationship, these are the things that impact your relationship, whether it's marital relationship, business relationship, any form of relationship we have. Anger destroys emotional and physical intimacy over time. When couples are angry with each other, they don't want to be intimate, they don't want to talk to one another, they don't want to even touch one another. That's why we got to nip it. We got to tame the fire quickly. We've got to tame those issues. A lot of marriages are going into divorce. There are lots of infidelity that are caused because there was just disagreement and anger, which could have been properly managed. Then anger builds emotional walls instead of relational bridges. I mean, we're supposed to have bridges in our families, but we begin to build walls. Then in our relationship, anger creates toxic pursue it creates toxic pursuit and withdrawal circles. I'm sure a lot of us, we've experienced this. We know what I'm talking about. Then 50% of divorces cite communication anger as a factor. So communication and anger are big factors that leads to divorce and challenges in our relationships. Then trust, once broken by rage, takes years to rebuild. So if you break a trust process in your relationship because of anger, it takes time for it to build. How does anger affect your mental health? It is strongly linked to anxiety, depression, and PTSD, plus post-traumatic syndrome. Excuse me. When you are not able to manage your anger, it can lead to mental health disorder. Honestly, when you are not able to control your anger, it sets anxiety sets in, depression sets in, PTSD sets in. That's why it's important that this discussion today is something every one of us must take into consideration. Then also, anger can affect your mental health because it feeds negative self-talk and deep shame cycles. Every time you just think negativity, negative words, negative thoughts, and when you talk to yourself, it's always you talk down on yourself. It can affect your mental health. Then the increase of substance use as a coping tool happens every time that you're not able to manage your anger. Sometimes you want to look out for a coping strategy. And one way people do that, they use substances, and that can lead to a lot of mental health. Then chronic anger physically reduces serotonin levels. So the things that makes you excited, the things that makes you, want to connect with other people begins to diminish because you are angry. Then suppressed anger manifests as somatic illness. What that means, when you begin to suppress your anger, you feel like someone else. You cannot feel like your normal self. You look as if you're living outside of your real self. So that's why it's very important that we manage anger so that it doesn't lead to acute mental health disorders in our lives. Then in the area of spirituality, when it comes to anger, anger blocks the flow of forgiveness and grace. When we are always angry and or short-tempered and cannot control, the scripture said a man that cannot control his anger is like a city without wall. We expose ourselves to so many issues in our lives if we cannot let go easily. With spirituality also, it creates distance from God, prayer, and community. If we are that angry, you're always bitter, you cannot build relationship with God, with other people in your faith-based community. Unforgiveness is emotional and spiritual bondage. That's a big reality. When we cannot easily forgive other people, we cannot forgive others. I'm telling you, we are building both emotional and spiritual bondage against ourselves. Bitterness is unresolved anger turned inward. So if you're feeling bitter, it's because you didn't resolve an anger. Instead of getting angry at the situation, you are not angry at yourself. That's what leads to bitterness. Then healed anger can become a prophetic calling to serve. And this is very beautiful. When you are able to overcome your anger, you're able to manage anger, then you can use that maturity to help other people deal with their own anger process. Now, I'm going to go into some practical tools that is going to help you and I to overcome anger, because anger can be, as long as we know, anger is an emotion that is given to us as human beings. If we do not control it, if we do not subdue it, I'm telling you, it can get us into big problems and big trouble. So one of the tools that I'm going to be sharing on quickly that can help you and I manage anger is from the cognitive behavioral therapy. When you change how you think, your feeling is going to follow suit, and it's also going to impact your acts. What we're saying, when you can process, you can reason, because one of the things that happens to us when we are angry, we shut down our reasoning capacity. We don't want to reason. We don't want to be logical. We don't want to think it through. We just want to act upon how we are feeling at that point in time. But if we change our thought process, the moment we are angry, you know what happens? It affects your feelings. And when your feelings are affected, it's going to affect your actions, because where anger manifests is in our actions. It's not that I am angry. It's until when I show it, that's when people can see that, yes, I'm dealing with something big. So first thing first, you want to identify the trigger. Name what sets you off. Write it down, because awareness breaks the automatic reaction cycle. So there's an automatic reaction cycle. If you're not aware of what is triggering that anger, I'm telling you, you can go out of control. So what exactly happened? You want to ask, what exactly happened? What did I tell myself about it? When you identify the trigger, you will manage the outburst of that anger. Then two, challenging thought. Question the story you are telling yourself, because a lot of the time what causes us to be angry is there's a particular story we are telling ourselves. There's a way we are describing the situation, but you want to question it. Is it true? Is it 100% true? Is there another explanation? Why am I feeling this way? The tools are your thought. Use your thought records and cognitive restructuring function. So can I restructure how I'm feeling? What about if the story is not true? What about if I'm the one seeing it from a different perspective? Okay, even if it is true, what am I supposed to do about it? What's the other person supposed to do about it? So when we challenge our thoughts and when we are getting angry, then we are able to manage it better. Then pause and cool down. Stop, take a breath, observe your body, proceed mindfully with intention. There's a skill called stop. So anytime you are really, really angry, friends, before you act on it, remember this word, stop, S-T-O-P. Just stop. Stop before you react. Because sometimes, as after we have broken the glass or broken the egg, that we can remember, oh, why did I react that way? because we want to break the reaction cycle. So the first thing is pause and cool down. How do you pause and cool? You stop. When you stop, you take a deep breath quickly. Then you observe your body. Where are you feeling the sensation? Is it in your chest? Is it in your head? Where are you feeling that anger? Why are you feeling so hot? Then also you proceed mindfully with intention. What that means, before you react to what has caused you or what is causing you to be angry, take it one step at a time. Talk about it. Share with someone, like what I do when I'm really angry and really pissed because I know I can overreact. What I do, I like to talk to somebody. I call someone that is trusted and I pour my heart and emotion out. Just by talking and processing that, I'm able, to cool down and not react on my emotion. The fourth thing you need to do if you want to control your anger is problem solve calmly. So solve that issue calmly. Don't be in a haze. So once you are calm, address the actual issue. What really happened? What's causing me to be angry? What is in my control? What action is helpful versus harmful? Because a lot of the time when we are angry, is that we're going to be helpful or we're going to hurt, we're going to harm the other person or harm ourselves. So you want to focus on the solution, not on winning the argument. A lot of the time when we are angry, we want to win the argument. And the more we try to do that, the more we get the issues more difficult to resolve. So let's learn to remain calm when we are dealing with anger. Let's focus on solving the problem calmly. Then assertive communication. Use I statements. I feel frustrated. So express how you feel about this situation. I am unhappy about this. I'm unhappy with what you said. In other words, you're trying to clarify. You're not trying to become aggressive with the person, but you are assertive in trying to resolve it. Even if it's your spouse, I know sometimes in the workplace it might be difficult to want to talk to your boss that way, but when everything is calm, then you can come and use that I statement. I feel frustrated. I feel sad. I feel unhappy about how you did this. Just using that alone helps you to manage that process. And the last one is track and celebrate progress. Getting out of anger is a tall order. I'm telling you, especially when you're truly, truly and badly, badly hurt. But one thing you want to do when you put these tools to work that I've shared with you, I'm telling you, you begin to manage it. And when you do the test new responses, see how people are going to respond to you. I've seen people who are pissed off, that I'm pissed off, are really angry at, but just practicing this techniques, the way they respond to me, they never really know they've hurt my emotions. But because I did not respond the way they wanted me to respond, and they'll just imagine, wow, how are you doing this? It takes a lot of growth, a lot of maturity, a lot of patience to be able to do that. But you know what? It makes you to be a quality human being. And that's what we need in our world today. People who can be angry, but yet remain calm and express themselves. So you must celebrate, you must track how you make progress with this anger. Then also, there's another tool you can use, which is called the dialectical behavior therapy tools. You can use what we call tip skill. Here, you can you regulate your body first. So by temperature, you pour cold water on yourself. That can calm you down quickly. So when you are really angry, you can take a cold bath. You can just do something that can change your emotions immediately. You can do a lot of intense exercise. You can take walk. You can jump. You can do burpee. You can do jumping jacks. The goal is for you to burn off the adrenaline surging, because when the adrenaline surging through your body, your anger level increases. Then do a lot of paced breathing. What I mean, you inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold it 1, 2, 3, 4. You exhale through your mouth slowly 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you relax 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of these things, they are going to help you to manage your anger. They will help you manage that circle of reaction that comes with being angry. Then progressive relaxation, P, tense and relax your muscles. So you can group your muscles, your neck muscles, your shoulder muscles, your hands, your feet, your thigh muscles. When you tense them and you release them, you tense them for about 10 seconds, you release them, they can help you overcome that anger in that very moment. Another skill you can use is called the Dear Man. Get what you need assertively. So you describe what the situation is, you express and share your feelings, you assert clearly what you want, because a lot of the time when you are angry, there's a reason why you're angry, and you need to speak why you are angry out. You need to share that. Otherwise, by the time you begin to suppress it, it becomes bitterness and it begins to hurt you chronically. You reinforce by explaining the positive benefit of getting what you want, what's causing you to be angry. Then you be mindful. Just stay focused Don't get sidetracked, because a lot of time when we are angry, we tend to be all over the place. Just focus on the situation, the trigger, and try to address it. Then appear confident. You need a lot of the time in terms of our tone, posture, and eye contact. When we are angry, we really want to. You don't want to talk. Our kids will do that. They will put their hands like this. They will throw. They will stomp. You don't want to do that. No, you want to be able to express with confidence how you are feeling and what's causing you all of those triggers. Then negotiate. Be willing to find a middle ground. A lot of the time when we are angry, we don't want to find the middle ground. We want what we want to be the answer to the issues. No, let's learn to have a middle ground. Then the stop skill, I've shared that earlier on when I was talking and sharing on the cognitive behavioral therapy. You can stop. You can free. Don't act. You can take a step back. Take a breath. You can observe or just look at what is going on, then proceed mindfully. I'm telling you, friends, these tools are very solid tools that can always help you manage your anger. Not just your anger, quite a lot of other emotions that we feel, the feeling of anxiety, depression. When we put all of these skills to work, I'm telling you, you are going to feel better and be able to manage your anger. And for those who are interested in integrating faith-based, and like I always say, this is an optional pathway to wholeness. For us, we reach everyone, all faith, all creed, all nationality. The Wholeness Project is to help humanity, restore wholeness and renewed focus. So you might be practicing different kind of we practice different kind of religion, but I know one thing: spirituality is very important to us as people. For those who want to integrate faith-based from the Christian perspective, remember this: that be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. This is spirituality. Even God himself wants you and I to be angry, but that anger should not go down with the sun. In other words, before you go to bed, resolve that issue. Resolve that anger situation. And so how can spirituality help you? 4 things I'm putting down here for us: prayer and surrender. Bring your anger to God in honest, unfiltered prayer. You can do this. So don't carry anger. God doesn't want you to carry anger. He doesn't want you to be bitter with it. He wants you to be angry. Yeah, I'm serious. God wants you to be angry, because to be angry is an emotion, because God himself has shown anger a lot of the time. That's what we call holy indignation. That's when God is angry about situation. But what God wants you to do is don't let it go down with the sun. Be honest with God about your anger. Tell him how you feel about it. Don't filter the prayer. Don't try to pretend God knows everything. Then release what you cannot control. Surrender it. Whatever it is you cannot control about that situation, tell God, Lord, I hand it over to you. I can't change this situation. The more I think about it, the more I really get angry, the more I really get bitter, the more I really want to hurt that individual, hurt myself. But I release it because I can't control it. Then Philippians 4:6-7 says, petition with prayer, receive peace. So pray about it. Just pray about it. Be anxious for nothing. But in everything with prayer and supplications, make your request known unto God. Tell God what you want out of that situation, the triggers, the symptoms, how you want him to deal with it. Then journal your prayers as emotional and spiritual processing. Every time we write down our thoughts, our pains, our feelings, we're able to process them better. Then see forgiveness as a freedom. Forgiveness is not condoning, it is releasing the debt. When you can't forgive, you are harboring that person, you're building a mansion in your heart for that person. All forgiveness is drinking poison, expecting others to die. Can you imagine that? You're the one taking the poison and you think somebody is going to die? No, it's impossible. Well, those of us who can forgive other people, we are the one that are going to be poisoned by that hurt. So please let us learn to let it go. Then forgiveness received through forgiving. You can receive forgiveness when you forgive other people. The forgiveness is a process. It's not a single moment. I don't expect you, if somebody hurts you so bad in the today, tomorrow, it might be there for a long time, but gradually, it's going to come out together. Then community and accountability. Safety in a multitude of counselors. So when you are really angry, when you get 1 or 2 persons that you trust, they can help you see different perspectives to manage that anger. Trusted faith community reduces dangerous isolation. So a lot of time, people want to isolate themselves when they are angry at one individual or other people from the faith family. It's a very dangerous behavior. It's a very dangerous habit. Don't do it. Don't try. If you are angry, you can talk about it, except you don't trust that faith community. Then it's understandable. But if you trust that faith community and you believe that's God's people, when you are really angry, talk about it. Even Christ has told us, when you are angry, before you bring your gifts to the altar, go and resolve that issue. So that's how we are supposed to live. Then seek spirit-filled counselor for whole person healing. Then church plus therapy, God designed healing partnership. So You can, through the church pastoral care or through a therapist, you can find healing for your soul. Then spiritual discipline through fasting. Fasting quietens the flesh and emotional reactivity. I want us to understand that every time you fast, the ability for your body to be angry, to be pissed off, is totally reduced. It reduced to the barest minimum. So when you engage in spiritual disciplines like fasting, meditating on the scriptures that renews your mind, you praise all the time, and also you take time to rest and to worship, it helps you to grow. A lot of the time when people are bitter, or when you are bitter, you are angry, it tests your ability to be mature as a faith person or as a spiritual person. So you see that our spirituality can be very, very helpful when it comes to managing our anger. And so I've been discussing so far, taming the fire, how we can manage and control anger so that it doesn't affect our families, our relationships, our mental health, and also our spirituality. This is what I want to give to you, my closing piece, as we gradually bring today's episode to an end. Your 7-day anger transformation challenge. I want you to screenshot this if you can see it clearly. But if you want a copy of this particular slide, I'll be glad to send it to you. Just send me your email address. Just write me at joel.osebo at fragranceofgrace.org, and I'll be glad to send you this 7-day anger transformation challenge. I'm telling you, if you're really dealing with anger, you are bitter. This anger may have been for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but I want to challenge you. Just do this for 7 days. But I like going the extra mile. Do it another 7 days. Then the third extra mile, do it for 21 days. You will see how you will begin to manage anger in a great way. So day 1, create an awareness. Why are you angry? Journal it. Write it down. What triggered it? What's the thought? Day 2, breathe. Learn to do this breathing exercise. Set a phone alarm as a reminder to pause and do this exercise. Then 3, identify. List your top 3 anger triggers. What are those things that causes you to be angry about a situation? List them down. Then day 4, take 1 angry thought and write 3 alternative perspectives. So opposite actions. In other words, I'm angry at this. What is the best alternative for this? I'm telling you, you see that your focus will begin to shift, your mind will begin to shift. Then connect, have one honest conversation today using dear man or I feel statement. So whoever may have caused you anger, even that person doesn't want to listen, do this for yourself. Express how you feel about that. Then forgive your day 6. Day 6, write a forgiveness letter. You don't have to send it. Release the weight you carry. In other words, write it on a paper. You can squeeze it and burn it. You can squeeze it and put it on the water. Let it just go away. But you know that, yes, I'm letting this unforgiveness out of my heart. Then day 7, I want you to review your week. What changed? What still needs to work? Celebrate every step of growth. So I want you to repeat this for 21 days. Every 7 days, every 7 days, every 7 days. Do this anger transformation challenge. And for if you want to integrate the faith-based, the scriptures on managing your anger, on praying, on letting it go, is also going to help you in the process of doing this. You must understand this. My closing thought: anger is not your identity. It doesn't define who you are. You're just expressing your physiological and psychological aspect of your humanity. We are supposed to, we ought to be angry. There are some things that shouldn't be. We must be angry at. But when this anger becomes consistent and it becomes chronic, it leads to a lot of mental health disorder. It is a signal that you need wholeness. You know, when it becomes something that is so intense, then I'm going to encourage you, make sure you talk to someone. Make sure you talk about it. Otherwise, it's going to hurt and harm you. And that's not what we desire when it comes to wholeness and having a renewed focus. You must understand that you're not alone. Wholeness is available. Healing is possible. So whether you are dealing with anger-related issues in your family, in your relationships, in your mental health, or spirituality, yes, a lot of the time there's what we call religious trauma that a lot of people are suffering, even being believers, being Christian, or whatever faith they practice. These things, they are there, but one thing you must be rest assured that with the Wholeness Project, we're here to make sure you regain your wholeness. We're here to make sure that everything that you need to restore your wholeness, for you to have a renewed focus for your family, for your relationship, for your mental health and spirituality, we're here to provide it. If you want more tips on this, you have more questions, or you have one opportunity for one-on-one coaching, consulting, training, or just anything for your organization, for you, your family, and you just want to talk through your relationship issue, your marriage issue, your trauma issue, please feel free to reach out to us. You can go to my website, joelosebo.com, or you go to www.fgicoaching.com, or you can send me an email, joel.osebo@fragranceofgrace.org, or you give us a call. We'll be glad. We're here to walk with you through the journey of your mental health wholeness, to renew your mind, to renew your vision, and to renew your purpose. Same time next week, we are going to be back 9:15 Eastern Time Zone with another amazing subject that has to do with your wholeness. And if there are specific topics you will want us to share, could be on loneliness, isolation, whatever it is that you need to, kind of equip yourself, especially in this time that we're living in, that a lot of people are feeling stressed and burnt out, we will be glad to go through that subject with you. Thank you for being part of today's episode, and I'll see you again next week. It's your friend Joel Osebo. Bye for now.